Hello, future millionaires and billionaires. Welcome to another episode of the Investor Chair with Ivan Sambo, proudly sponsored by Centrix. And as you know, guys, with this series, we're trying to understand how to deal with money, how to do investment, saving, budgeting, but talking to ordinary South Africans that are in the workspace, that are in the profession, that are trying to do something good for themselves. And today, I am joined by the lion herself, the Lion of Judah, if I can say so.
Lion of Judah. Wow.
Today I'm joined by Lebo Lion, and we mostly know her as the voice of marketing in Africa. And we're talking about her story, her way on dealing with money, her way of saving, investing, and building confidence within the profession she is in, within being a woman in South Africa, within being a South African in general, because most of the time we get experts that come here and tell you deal with money 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 according to the textbook, but we don't have South Africans that genuinely live the life to tell us how to do with it. Yeah. So that's the whole aim of today's episode. I said in the beginning, proudly sponsored by Centrix. And before wasting any time, guys, let me give it to her to introduce herself. You know me, guys, I don't love introducing people.
Oh, wow.
So you have to introduce yourself.
There are podcast synergies here. There are podcast synergies because I also don't like to introduce people. But thank you for having me, Ivan.
My pleasure.
I'm really, really excited to be here. And it's exciting to see you for the first YouTube person.
We've been talking for a long time online.
For a very, very long time. So here we are, despite stage 6 load shedding. Right, we're still making it happen. So big ups to you and to Centrix for making this happen. Hi everyone in the community. My name is Lebo Lion. For those of you who don't know, I'm known as the voice of marketing in Africa because I used to tweet. Well, I still do, but I started off my career in the spotlight, tweeting about marketing and how I'd like to see the industry in Africa and the industry in relation to the world, the African marketing industry in relation to the world. I'm also an entrepreneur, I'm a speaker, and sometimes I'm an influencer on Instagram.
We all are.
Exactly. And I'm really excited to be here.
It's my pleasure to finally meet, first of all.
Yeah.
And also get your story, your background, your upbringing around money. Because a conversation we do not have a lot, especially people who are in the profession, especially people who are living the day-to-day life in South Africa. But before we get to the conversation, guys, we are recording outside because of stage 6 load shedding. So if there's some background noise that you don't understand, please do forgive us for that. But let's start off by talking about your background.
Yes.
Your relationship with money growing up. How was it?
So I always say to people that I grew up privileged, right? And I feel like when you say privileged, people think you're saying Gucci, papa, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the weirdest thing for me because I was raised to be grateful for what I have.
Yeah.
So for me, privilege was never had to think about there being food in the fridge.
Yeah.
Never having to think about where I'm going to sleep. Everything that mattered was taken care of. My education was taken care of, where I'm living. I had present parents. They were always there, you know? So I had a decent childhood. I was privileged.
Yeah.
And a lot of South Africans actually don't have that privilege.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's very important when we speak about money, especially, to talk about the base. And the bases that I come from privilege, the privilege of stability and structure and a good education, right? And because I come from a slightly more privileged, I guess, background to that base of privilege that I was talking about, we were never taught that you kind of had to, that it was hard to make money or that you have to think about making money, right? I kind of grew up being taught, just exist, do what you like, be good at it, and money will come. Right, because my dad was an entrepreneur, my aunt was an entrepreneur, everybody was an entrepreneur around me, and those who weren't were professionals, either accountants or something big in the corporate space. Yeah. So because of that, they had the financial means to give us a very comfortable life, and I guess we never had to think about a lot of things, you know. For me, literally, life was about what do I want to do. Who do I want to be? You know? So money never felt like something I had to consciously think about and say, when I grow up, will I have money? I never asked myself that question. I assumed I would.
You would.
I assumed, when I grow up, I'm going to be rich because I'm going to do what I like. And so that makes you rich, you know? Yeah. I didn't actually realize that you can be talented. You can work hard, but still not become wealthy. You can even come from a wealthy family and still not become wealthy.
Oh, yes.
Like, that's what I didn't know. And I can tell you this for a fact that even kids I grew up with, my peers, who you see on social media, some of them, because their parents are famous and whatever, and they also went to private schools, whatever, they also didn't know that just because your parents are wealthy doesn't mean you are going to become wealthy.
Yeah.
And so you don't even think about financial planning. That doesn't cross your mind. Because in your mind, you're going, I'm privileged. I'm going to become. It's going to just happen for me. So it was, I think I come from a space where privilege, even though people perceive it as, oh wow, you're so lucky because your parents had money now you're gonna know about money. It's like, no, it's because I was privileged and because my parents were trying to give me a good life that they forgot to teach me those fundamentals. Because
how to manage the money, how to save the money, how to invest the money.
Because it was just like, have whatever you want. You know, so they forgot to teach us that because they were busy dealing with their own childhood traumas of, I didn't get, therefore my child is going to get. But in that, it made us weak in a way because, or vulnerable, let me say, because we never thought about how am I actually going to make money? How am I actually going to make sure that the privilege I live in I can maintain it once I'm an adult? I never thought of that stuff.
So when did it click? Like, okay, now I had everything growing up in the place, like the basics were taken care of.
Yeah.
Now I'm an adult. I need to think about creating wealth. I need to think about saving, investing, managing my money better. When did that click came in to you?
Hey, my click was hectic. It was hectic.
Yeah.
Because I would call myself somebody who's just naturally disruptive.
Yeah.
I don't force doing things differently. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
And I follow my instinct before I follow logic. So if I want to jump off a cliff, I will do it.
Yeah.
And then I will try to build a parachute when I'm going down, you know. I wouldn't recommend that to anyone, but I do that. So going to varsity, my dad is the one who applied for me. He said, you're going here, you're going to study accounting sciences, you're going to do this. And I was like, don't I have a choice in this life?
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I know the right way. And I guess it makes sense because that's a very safe way to go, right? But my strong suit isn't even numbers. I'm a words person.
Yeah.
So I could have rather been a lawyer than an accountant. But most of the people in my family are accountants.
So they said,
so they were just like, follow. I was like, oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I tried. I really tried. But that thing is not for me.
Ooh.
It is not for me. And I think maybe now I could study because I see the value. But when I was 19, I didn't see the value. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. So I tried it for a year. Obviously, Wits gives you the edge, so
everyone I
kind of fell off the edge a little bit. No, you will learn. Yeah. You will learn. Wits will teach you. And then I just said to myself, you know what? I don't think I will succeed if I keep doing things in a way that doesn't suit me. So I said to my parents, guys, I want to study a BCom, maybe become marketing and law or something. And my dad was like, no ways, Jose. If you want to do that yourself, you must go figure it out for yourself. Which means what? Pay for it. Figure it out. So I was like, oh my God, I used to get an allowance going to varsity. So I never thought about making money in varsity. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you live in a bubble. And then second year, I was like, okay, let me try. I still couldn't do this thing. I really hated it.
Yeah.
And then third year, I was like, okay, I'm done with these people. I'm going to apply to UJ. I'm going to study marketing. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I asked some of my friends who didn't come from like my background because they had to go panda for themselves.
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, no, you can become a tutor. You can do this. You can do this kind of job. So I started like asking my lecturers if I could like tutor, how much they pay for that.
Yeah.
And I was already doing side hustles, but they were for fun.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was doing it because I was getting paid a certain amount. I was like, oh, I'm getting to network. So this will help me when I'm done with my degree. I'm getting to do this and this. So it wasn't paying that much, but I did have side hustles that would add to my allowance because my allowance wasn't that big. It was enough for me to survive.
Yeah.
So I took the side hustle money and the tutoring money and I moved out of home because my parents were like, oh, you're serious about being an adult tutor? Their own thing. Fine, go. And I had a friend.
Swim.
Yeah, go swim, baby girl. Go swim. And they thought I wouldn't because I'd never done that before. And I had a friend at the time who had an apartment and she said, you can come live with me. And it was within walking distance of UJ.
Yeah.
So at least that cut a lot of the things. I was like, okay, I can walk to school. I can contribute to groceries because I've got this thing. And she didn't need me to pay rent. Yeah. So I just helped with like groceries and that kind of stuff, the basics, and just taking care of myself. So that's kind of how I started having to think about money, the cost of living. And it was so scary. I think I was a little bit depressed for some time because it was a shock to have to think about those things when I had never had to before. And that's kind of how I got into thinking about my money and starting to become independent.
And I think that's a conversation most of the time we tend to shy away from. Like, okay, you grow up privileged, you must know everything. You must be able to go out there in the world, swim with the big fish.
We know nothing. I can tell you that from a privileged kid.
Most of the time we don't do it. Like,
we don't know anything, guys. We don't know anything.
And we forget that there's another layer to the conversation. There's another side to the conversation. But with all of that, you're confident because obviously not perfect. Even myself, people like, oh, Ivan, you are the student investor guy. You are confident with money. Myself as well, I'm still not yet at that stage, but I'm confident enough to know how to do my basics.
Yes.
So in all of that happening, when was the first time, like, say, okay, now I'm comfortable. This was the one thing that made me feel comfortable doing my finances.
I don't think I'm still comfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody who's got investments, right? And I make enough money to be able to play with it from an investing perspective. But what I found, and I think it depends on your life story.
Yeah.
And I love that you started this podcast and said, what is your story before we started actually talking about the nitty-gritties of the money. But like, what you believe about money really becomes what you manifest and how you handle your money, right? So I thought to myself, I'm not handling this money the way I want for it to do what I wanted to do for me. And I'm actually quite scared. Yeah. So I got a therapist and I said, I need to start unpacking my beliefs about my own abilities to succeed financially. Because it was really a barrier for me. So what that would look like would be like me, because I have an agency, a marketing agency, but I don't even talk about it. And I remember the first time somebody offered me a contract that had quite a lot of money and I turned it down. And I said to my therapist, because I don't think I can do it. Like, I don't think I can manage that kind of money in my business. I don't think I can do this, you know? I'm happy with, like, small little bits coming in. I feel like I deserve those. But this amount, what if I fail? Yeah. You know? So I didn't even know that I didn't think I was deserving of making a lot of money. But I wanted a nice lifestyle. and that's a very important point that you're making right there, because I said this, I had another guest, and I'll say this, like, most of the time we forget that money is human communication, money is human interaction, money is you expressing who you are, how you're coming from, and how you see the world. And those things happen, but we don't touch on it because we think, okay, just write everything down, budget your money. No.
Perfect.
It never works like that.
Because money is more than just buying things.
It's more than the numbers.
Yes.
It's actually what you genuinely believe. And only over time, I'm 32 now, I've only got into a wealth mindset. Yeah. When I turned 30. Yo. Before that, money was coming to me and I was saying no. You know, and it makes absolutely no sense. But for me, I was just like, no, I can't do this. I can't. And now, when it's coming to me, I still feel anxious. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a lot of money. But now I'm like, but actually, I'm deserving.
You
and
deserve
I can do
it.
it. I can do this. I can do this contract. I can do this. So let me try. Yeah. And I've learned that there's enough money in the world to go around. Yeah. So, like, don't be afraid if you lose some. Don't be afraid to play with some. Yeah. Don't be afraid to spend some and treat yourself. I also didn't do that until recently. I never used to, like, treat myself. Everything I bought was either for work or just for my daily expenses, like living needs. Yeah. But now I actually buy myself things like I didn't know I could afford them because I never thought about buying them because I wasn't in that thing of use your money, it's okay. More is going to come to you.
And I love that you start saying that because it touched to the next point I'm going to get into, because most of the time when we look at money, we're looking from three angles. I need to pay my rent. I need to pay the necessary I need to survive. I need to put some for December for family so I can be able to spend December wisely. And the third one, like, okay, I just need to invest it. But don't look at the other element of it. How do you treat yourself? How do you enjoy? I started a 5% rule in my life now. Whatever income I get, I want 5% of it just to blow it, basically. Yeah. Blow it. I don't care what it is. When I'm going to wine farming back in Cape Town or whatever, I just want to spend it on myself. And that's an important conversation. I love that brand like Central are coming. Let's have a conversation about that as well. But now let's get into your investment strategy, because you are, I said, you're in the industry, you own your own agency, you are a public figure, you are also as well an influencer. Starting to think about investing. And then not just investing in terms of, okay, you're going to the JSE, you're going to buy the Centrix, top 40, you're going to buy the Centric S&P 500. Just like normal thing, I need to build wealth. like, what was your thinking mechanism around that? Like, what was the first thought of mine? I said, okay, now I have built enough confidence. Now I just need to start investing. Whatever the form of investment it was, what made you click and what made you say, okay, I'm going to push?
Glad that you asked me that question.
Yeah.
And so for me, the investing thing started kind of as a survivalistic response to what happened to my father. Because even though we were very privileged, as soon as my sister and I finished varsity, my dad's business went kaput.
Yeah.
And that's another thing people don't talk about, that most of these privileged kids, a lot of us actually go through periods where our parents' businesses
just
face hectic things, and you might even have to change your lifestyle for a couple of years. Mam Sampanyana had to do that when his dad's career was a bit shaky. Like, a lot of people have had to, right? But there's so much shame in that we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
And luckily for me and my sister, we were older when that happened. So it wasn't as bad. And we were able to... We knew, okay, now we have to help my mom because even though she's working, she's got a very high-paying job, she can't manage everything on her own, and my dad needs a bit of our support. So we kind of, had to start pitching in a bit, and that's when I started to say, "Ooh, I need more money than what I'm making." Okay, so how am I gonna do this?
Yeah.
And the most obvious investment was property. Because that's kind of what I know when I hear investment. That's the first thing I've ever known. Everyone says property. Yeah. At the time, I obviously couldn't afford the property, but in my mind, I was like, okay, my goal is property because that's what everybody's doing. Yeah. I didn't have a sophisticated idea of what other investments were possible for me as a young person with limited funds, right? So I was just saving up. I was doing more work. I was finding ways. I was learning about property investing. And I was trying to partner with people I knew so that I could make some money happen, so I could have down payments, deposits for at least some kind of property. Yeah. That's kind of where I started in terms of thinking about investing. But it was a very scary thought for me. And I remember seeing things like Satrix and Alan Gray. Yeah. Sorry, am I allowed to mention the brand? Okay. And I also remember seeing other products that are similar to Satrix. Yeah. And I put my money into it. I think it was about like 500 rand a month or whatever. Just putting my money in there. Me and my sister did it together. We were just like, let's see what happens. Yeah. We didn't actually know what it is. We just knew, okay, this is what we must do. So we kind of started doing it. Yeah.
And I love the fact that you're able to touch on that fact that investment product must be made simple, must be made affordable, must be made easy accessible. Because you said we started with like 100 rand, but we're able to explore and get deeper into it. And I think that's the one thing as well, just to put it out there, that for those who are looking to invest, Centrix make it simple. You can download the app, you can be able to start. You have 100 rand, you have 5 rand, you can be able to buy shares of the JSE top 40 ETF from Centrix, whatever. It's just click on the link on the description of this video.
And but he's being quite honest, because I use Satrix too, and I've been using Satrix for many years. Yeah. And I think the app is really cool because it makes things a little bit simpler than before. I remember when I started with Satrix, you could only do it on the web. On your laptop. Yeah. So like now it's cool. They've got an app, it makes it much easier, and you kind of want to be on it more. So it makes it easier to learn. When you share advice, I can go and look on the app and then try something. It's much better. The
simplicity of it. Simplicity of it. And also, guys, don't forgive the change of lighting. As I said, we're stage 6, so we're in load shedding. Yeah. And we're recording outside, and you can't control the sun. That's God. But don't worry, I'll try to edit the best of it. But now I just have 2 last questions before we conclude, because I want us to touch the main thing. I want to just, without even explaining it, what's the one thing that you're grateful for in terms of finances?
I am grateful that money is ubiquitous. Yeah. Right? And ubiquitous just means it's everywhere. Yeah. Right? I feel like we need to start having, what's the word? The opposite of scarcity, an abundance mindset when it comes to money. Because as African kids, no matter if you're privileged or not, there's just something in us that says, it's going to end, it's going to finish, this money is going to finish. And actually, guys, money doesn't finish. Yeah. What finishes is your desire to keep growing it, maybe, if you feel demotivated because of whatever's happening in your life. But really, money never finishes. Yeah. I believe in that. And also, I think money chases you when you're living in your purpose. And
also, what's another person wants us to wrap it up, but what's the one piece of advice, especially for young people? Majority of my audience are young professionals, are young students who are trying to think about money in a positive way. Yes. What's the one tip that you can say, it worked for me and I wish you can take this from my story and use it?
I'd say start the money habits as soon as possible.
Yeah.
because if you don't have them when you have little, you're not going to have them when you have a lot.
Much. Yeah.
And it's going to be even more overwhelming to try handle your money when you've got all this money coming in, but you don't have the skills. So start with what you have, get the money skills right then, and then sky's the limit.
So true, so true. So what do we expect from Lebo Lion? I know the podcast is there. Episodes are coming out. The reels on Instagram are looking flying. So what more can we expect? 2023, New Year. What can we expect from Lebo Lion, the voice of marketing in Africa?
So I want to see everyone in person around the country.
Yeah.
And I'm working on making that happen.
Yeah.
But I can't go too much into that. And you're going to be seeing a lot more lifestyle, lived experience conversations happening on my podcast. Only because I believe that we often forget the story behind the people who we admire, right? And it's so important for us to talk about those experiences so that when they teach us these financial lessons or marketing lessons, that we actually understand where they're coming from. And I think it gives greater context to everything. So see more consistent content, but also more broad content. And I hope I'll be seeing some of you in a town near you for the whole of 2023. Oh,
that's beautiful. So beautiful. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and Lebo, thank you so much for joining. I know the sun, you're outside. It's a lot of things, but I can't control load shedding. But thank you so much for joining the series and sharing your story and sharing the lessons you've learned and how it'll help you manage your money wisely, save for it, invest it, and create the brand that you are and create your voice. And for those who are new to my channel or those who have been following my channel to jump into Lebo's platform, I'll put all the links in the description of this video or this audio. Just go there, check her platform out, and you'll learn a lot about marketing. Guys, the variety is endless. But for everyone just watching, guys, remember, this show was proudly sponsored by Centrix. Download the app, go over to your website to learn more about to invest in the GSE Top 40, whatever ETF you're looking into, or even go to property. Lebo touch on property as well. Centrix has a property ETF for you as well. As always, guys, I am Ivan Spindler Sambo, your student investor. Thank you so much for watching.